Hi guys, welcome to Njinga Cycling. Today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about our M check, our Njinga M check, which is our bicycle safety check. Just like the letter M coming up, down, down. This bicycle safety check we do before every ride out. So if we go to number 1, it's a 17-point bike check. So if we go to number 1 here, which is the front wheel quick release, ensuring it's nice and firmly in place. If it is a little loose, we're going to tighten the front nut, close it off, make sure it's away and pointing back, the quick release, in a nice safe position. That's number 1, once that's done. Number 2, we're going to look and check the front forks, that there's no cracks or any major visible damage to the frame. That's number 2. Then number 3, we're going to check the front brake. First, we check that the quick release here that I've got is in the downward motion. Then, we're going to check that none of the brake pads are touching the rim. So we're going to lift the front wheel up, we're going to spin it. Grab the brakes, there we can see we're firmly grabbed and they look okay. We're also looking that the brake pads are not worn. Once we're happy with that, we move on to number 4, which is the front wheel tire pressure. As you can see with my thumb, I'm pushing down. There's a good amount of pressure. There should be no give, and your thumb just being able to push all the way down. That's a sign your tire pressure is too low. We're looking for about 100 to 120 psi, dependent on road conditions of the ride out. After that, number 5, we move up to the handlebars. We're looking for a nice smooth movement right and left. What we want to make sure is that the cables are not restricting here the movement. So we don't want to see this very slight movement. That's a sign of rather tight cables or a stiff stem here. Then, next thing we're going to do, number 6, we're going to look here at the brakes. So what we're looking for here is, as I squeeze the brakes, there should be a finger gap between the actual handlebars and the brake. That's perfect there, and we're looking for the same on the right. That's perfect. Okay, now that we've done that, we're going to number 7, which is the downward tube. We're looking for any visible cracks or any issues that we think would be of concern from a safety perspective. Okay, once we're happy with that, we want to make sure the bike is away from us, chain away, and we're going to grab the pedal, do a revolution, and stop in line with the downward tube. We're going to grab the pedal, we're going to push down. We want to make sure there's no give or dropping. This is number 8 that I'm checking now. So if there is any give or dropping, that particular rider will not be able to ride out with us. Next thing we're going to check now is number 9. Which is the water bottles. You want to make sure you have 2 Njinga water bottles with you on every ride out. 1 with water and 1 ideally with electrolyte. Each bottle is about 700 mils. Then we're coming now to number 10, which is the vertical post. As we come up, the vertical tube. As we come up the vertical tube, we're looking for no cracks or any major visible damage to the frame. Then coming up, the saddle post, we grab the saddle here in the left hand and the right hand at the back. This is number 11. We're just shaking left and right, pushing down and pulling up to ensure the saddle is nice, firmly in position and not too loose. You don't need to be too vigorous with this. Now, moving to number 12, we want to check the rear light. The rear light. Not just that it's there, that it works as well. So as we turn on, as you can see, mine is in full working order. And I turn that off. Now we move to number 13 here, which is the rear brake. This here, we want to check that the quick release is in the downward position. Okay? Next thing we want to check is that neither brake pad is touching the rim. To do that, we're lifting up the bike, spinning the rear wheel, and we're grabbing the brake. As you can see, nice firm grip, and the wheel stopped perfectly. No sound of brake pads touching, which is good. Also, the both brake pads are in good condition, they're not worn down. That's one thing we want to check. Now, moving to number 14, I'm going to put my hand here checking for the tire pressure, the rear wheel tire pressure. Again, that looks in a nice good position. We want to make sure there's no give and that it's very easy to push down. We're looking again for about 100 to 120 psi, dependent on road conditions that day, but that's roughly what we're looking at. Then we're moving to number 15, which is the rear forks, making sure there's no visible cracks or anything that would cause any concern or issue looking at the frame, the rear forks. Once we've checked that and we're happy, we move to number 16, which is the rear quick release. What we're doing here is checking that it's nice firmly in place. I'm trying to just give a little tug on it. It's nice firmly in position. We're also looking to see that this nut is not loose or stripped, which is good. And also we're making sure that this quick release is pointing inwards and not outwards. If it ever sits outwards, we have a situation where if a rider's wheel does come in a group ride and does slot into here, it does have the potential to open the quick release, which we don't want. So right in the middle here is a perfect position. Do not have the quick release on either part of the fork or any other part of the frame, because in the winter, particularly in the winter, it's very hard to open that quick release. Now, moving to number 17, the final check is we're looking at the rear derailleur here. We want to make sure that it's no cracks and that it's firmly attached to the frame. Then taking your finger to the front, you're pushing down, making sure it bounces back into position. So that's the final check we're doing, making sure that we're all happy. We also, while we're here, just having a look at the chain to make sure it's not rusted or in any bad condition. Once all of that is done and we're happy, you can give the bicycle back to your fellow rider. We always check somebody else's bike. You never check your own bike during our Njinga M check. Make sure that if you're new to riding with us and you've either haven't ridden your bike in a while, or you've got a bike, or you're loaning a bike from a friend, make sure that it's checked by a certified mechanic before you do come on a ride out. We want to make sure that it is roadworthy and that we have no issues on our ride out. Please also make sure that you carry 2 inner tubes with you, a pump, a pump or a gas canister, and a little gun attachment so we can pump up your wheels. Make sure you have that, as well as maybe a little couple of thin strips of plastic in case you have any worn or cut tires during the ride. And lastly, the only thing I would say is when you're looking at the tires, just make sure that the morning before your ride, that your tires aren't badly cut or stripped, because that's going to restrict you from enjoying your ride out or riding with us potentially. Then the last thing we're going to check now is the helmet check. So to come on any Njinga ride out with us, you have to have a helmet. A helmet is compulsory. You cannot ride without a helmet. Make sure as you put the helmet on, clipping in underneath, making sure you're firmly clipped in, looking each strip on either side, is either side of the ear nicely in position and snug. Here, 2 fingers underneath, can't get it past my chin. I'm okay and not restricted from breathing. When I got the helmet on, I adjust here at the back, making sure I'm in a nice, comfortable position, not too tight. What we want to make sure as well is that if it is too loose, we don't want to have this situation of helmets sitting in that position, or riders riding down and restricting their visibility, or with it high, causing an issue or choking, or in a not so good position. So we want to make sure your helmet is in a nice, firm, comfortable position and you're ready for the ride out. So look forward to all of you riding with us. Safe riding.